this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.
With no fees or minimums on checking accounts, it's no wonder the Capital One bank guy is so passionate about banking with Capital One. If he were here, he wouldn't just tell you about no fees or minimums. He'd also talk about how most Capital One cafes are open 7 days a week to assist with your banking needs. Yep, even on weekends. It's pretty much all he talks about, in a good way. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank. Capital One, N.A., member FDIC.
Hi, Kyle. Could you draw up a quick document with the basic business plan, just one page, as a Google Doc, and send me the link? Thanks.
Hey, just finished drawing up that quick one-page business plan for you. Here's the link.
But there was no link. There was no business plan. I hadn't programmed Kyle to be able to do that yet. I'm Evan Ratliff, here with a story of entrepreneurship in the AI age. Listen as I attempt to build a real startup run by fake people. Check out the second season of my podcast, Shell Game, on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Brought to you by the reinvented 2012 Camry. It's ready. Are you? Welcome to Stuff You Should Know from HowStuffWorks.com.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark. With me, as always, is Charles W. Chuckers Bryant.
You know, one day I'm just not going to show up.
I'll do both of our bits. I'll be like, hey, I'm Josh. Hey, I'm Chuck. Hey, I'm Josh. Hey, I'm Chuck.
It's my 12-year-old girl.
Right, Josh. I think that's pretty accurate.
Good luck with that show.
It would suck.
Good luck.
Although I'd finally get to be shirtless the whole time.
Yeah, true.
You ready for a little bit of irony this afternoon?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Back in 1949.
Okay.
Short little
36 years before Ghostbusters.
Apple-cheeked, 35.
Okay.
Short little happy apple-cheeked Chinese man named Mao Zedong, also known as Chairman Mao, established the People's Republic of China.
Huzzah!
Yes. And one of the things that they were big on was reproduction, I guess is the only way to put it.
Okay.
The communist government under Chairman Mao, they opposed birth control. They banned the import of contraceptives. And in 49, he said, of all the things in the world, people are the most precious. You ready for the ironic twist?
Yes.
30 years later, China catapulted itself to the forefront of state-controlled reproduction, which what came to be known as its one-child policy.
Right.
Discuss.
You know what? I got a little stat for you. Speaking of 1949, you know what the life expectancy in China was then?
Like
35 years old.
Holy cow!
And it's 73 years old now.
Yeah, with the communist government came things like sanitation, relative peace.
Sure.
War had beleaguered China for generations.
Right.
Had been killing people left and right, and as a result, the population just skyrocketed.
Indeed. And the old image of China that we have is probably like 4 or 5 kids, a couple of parents, a couple of grandparents, auntie and uncle, like packed together living in a house.
Right.
Not true anymore.
No, not anymore because of the one-child policy. So let's talk about this. This is something people might have heard of before, but first of all, why did it come about? It came about from the population skyrocketing, right?
Well, I've got some more info, actually.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I am.
You want to know how it really came about?
Yeah.
You didn't look at any of this?
Song
Jian?
No.
Okay. All right. We're all going to learn here then.
Let's hear it, Mr. Smarty.
Apparently, there was a systems control specialist in China in 1978. He decides to visit Europe. And back then, he was kind of isolated from the outside world, like many of the people in China, the intellectuals in China.
China's pretty known for isolation.
Yeah. So he goes to Europe, and he picks up a little book called The Limits to Growth. You ever heard of this? The Limits to Growth was a really controversial book. It was a study put out by a think tank called the Club of Rome. And basically, they said, in a nutshell, the world will end by 2070 because of population overrun. And they brought it out to big fanfare, along with the Blueprint for Survival, which was published in 1972 in England, who basically said that people in Britain were reproducing too quick and they couldn't maintain. He goes back to China with these books, and he said, it really made sense to me. And so he was connected. He formed a little group and decided to take it to the government and said, hey, we're going to, he started applying these studies and these statistics to China and said, we're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And so he took all this stuff, and basically it was from there that it leapfrogged, that it catapulted, rather, into a reality. However, the ironic thing is that whole limits to growth apparently was a bunch of bunk. And it was based on bad statistics, and the founder of the Book of Rome, who actually helped write the book, came out a couple of years later, and they had a retraction that said they wanted to jolt people from the comfortable idea that present growth trends could continue indefinitely. So they basically said we were trying to scare people. And we cooked up a bunch of studies.
Which led to China's one-child policy?
Yep.
That's nuts.
Pretty cool. Thank you, Song Jian.
That's not the only thing, though. I think China has never apologized for its policy, and one of the reasons why they instituted it was because the population was growing rapidly.
Yes.
Which is fine, right? The reason that Chairman Mao was like, reproduce, was because his vision for China was this huge booming economy based on tons and tons of labor, right?
Right. Kind of makes sense in a way.
It does make sense. The problem is, right now, China has a quarter of the world's population, but only 7% of the world's arable land. That is a rub right there.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons, in addition to this fake book that they instituted, the one-child policy, was to slow this population growth.
Right.
And it worked tremendously, right?
It did. You know, it worked to the tune of about 400 million kids not born. Is that right?
It depends on who you talk to. 400 million is the high end that I've seen. The lowest I've seen is 250 million. Okay. Even still, that's substantial in the last 30 years.
You know what they said in 1980 was what's it officially called? The National Population and Family Planning Commission of China.
Mm-hmm. That's the state agency that runs the reproduction control.
They said in 1980 that we must have a cap by the year 2000 of 1.2 billion people.
And it's projected that they hit 1.27. They weren't too far off, but that's Chinese figures, and no one knows.
But it continued to grow. Now there's 1.33, actually, and more than that, because that was 2008.
Yeah, apparently every year China adds the population of Belgium to its own population, 10 million people.
They literally bring over everyone from Belgium?
Yep, they're like, come on.
That's
and then Belgium
nice.
has to start from scratch again. They get to 10 million, and every January, come on, Belgium.
I'm going to go to Belgium next January.
So you can get a free trip to China?
Well, no, so I can stake my claim there in Belgium.
Okay.
Just move into some house.
We'll move you to China eventually, Chuck.
Oh, that's true.
So, we have this huge population explosion. It's still going, just because if you have 1.3 billion people, even allowing them to have one kid is going to add and add and add up.
Yeah,
right?
What's the projection?
I believe by 2050 they're expected to peak at 1.6 billion.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. But actually, that's nothing compared to what it would have been had they not instituted this policy, which at first was voluntary. And they saw a greater decline in fertility when this policy was voluntary, right? In 1970, they had a fertility rate of, I think, 6.
Yeah.
And by
that means 6 births per woman.
Per woman.
Just so people understand what that means.
That's the mean.
Yeah.
And then by 1979, it was down to 3. So they halved their fertility rate.
You know what it is now?
What?
In the urban areas, 1.7. Oh, I'm sorry. In the urban areas, 1.3. In the rural areas, 2.0 for about a 1.7 average.
Right, but even still, if you look at the numbers, that's less of a decline than there was when it was voluntary.
Yes.
What China started out with was a campaign called, what, Chuck?
Late, long, few.
Late, long, and few. So you marry late in life, you wait a long time in between births, and you have few children.
Right.
And couples who volunteer for this get a little certificate.
Yeah, what's that called? The Certificate of Honor for Single-Child Parents.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
I guess. I imagine
is that
it's
enough to
probably
keep you from having a kid?
Frame. It depends. Right. I don't know.
Sure.
We should also say that the one-child policy that was instituted in 1979, I don't know if we actually came out and said that yet.
Yeah, that was when it officially became a mandate.
So the one-child policy, at least at first and generally in practice, has restricted almost exclusively the Han ethnic majority. those are the people who are really subject to one-child policies.
Yeah.
And the people who are under the most restrictions are urban couples from the Han majority.
Yes.
Ethnic minorities are allowed to have more kids. They've generally been excluded from the one-child policy.
Well, you have to get permission. I think if you're in the rural area, you have to get legal permission to have a second child if your firstborn is a girl. And if you're an ethnic minority, you can have 3 kids.
Well, you bring up a really good point. That's one of the huge byproducts of this one-child policy is that China, the culture of China, not just the government, the culture has been accused of preferring boys over girls.
Accused to the tune of encouraging abortions for females, stuff like that. Who knows if that's true, but that's been floated out there.
It's true.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
At the very least, there's been tons and tons of reports and allegations that there's actually, state pressure, if not state-mandated abortions.
Okay.
Or at the very least, local pressured abortions. But one of the ways China still has a low abortion rate. 25% of the female population report having an abortion, where in the U.S., 43%.
That was higher than I thought.
That's apparently really low.
Is it?
Yeah. At the very least, low compared to anecdotal evidence.
Okay.
There's probably a lot of girls out there who aren't willing to say that they had an abortion and have.
True.
But still, let's say that those numbers are completely accurate.
Right.
China has 25% abortion rate. The U.S. has 43%. One of the reasons that they've been able to maintain a low abortion rate comparatively is through open and universal access to contraception.
Yes. IUDs and sterilization is what they prefer over there.
90% of contraception is long-term, right?
They don't do the condom or the birth control pill that much.
Not much.
Or vasectomies, of course, in China.
No.
They put it all on the woman.
Because, again, they have been accused of preferring boys. It's a very patriarchal society.
Right. You can't do that, though, in the long run, because I got another stat.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt, from renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year. You can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then, you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like EFTs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors, LLC. SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Hi, Kyle. Could you draw up a quick document with the basic business plan? Just one page as a Google Doc and send me the link? Thanks.
Hey, just finished drawing up that quick one-page business plan for you. Here's the link.
But there was no link. There was no business plan. It's not his fault. I hadn't programmed Kyle to be able to do that yet. My name is Evan Ratliff. I decided to create Kyle, my AI co-founder, after hearing a lot of stuff like this from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman.
There's this betting pool for the first year that there's a one-person billion-dollar company, which would have been like unimaginable without AI, and now will happen.
I got to thinking, could I be that one person? I'd made AI agents before for my award-winning podcast, Shell Game. This season on Shell Game, I'm trying to build a real company with a real product run by fake people.
Oh, hey, Evan. Good to have you join us. I found some really interesting data on adoption rates for AI agents in small to medium businesses.
Listen to Shell Game on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
In the end, they think, in the future, I would say, 15% of the men in China won't have access to a wife.
No.
Like there aren't enough women. There won't be enough women.
Right, which in and of itself is a problem, but it also gives rise to other problems. Apparently there's been a huge rise in prostitution, which has led to a huge rise in the prevalence of HIV.
Sure.
There's been all sorts of social maladies, I guess, among men who can't find a wife.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine like there just not being a woman out there that you can find to marry and settle down with. Like, it's just not an option for you.
15%.
It's going to produce all manner of psychological and social problems.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's all sorts of weird things that are kind of popping up from this one-child policy.
Oh yeah.
Another one that I hesitate to use the word weird, more like horrific, is female infanticide. We said that China's been accused of preferring boys over girls.
Right.
There are surveys out there, there are facts and figures that China puts out that contradict any criticism.
Sure.
But there's two sides to this coin. But in the West, there's lots and lots of accusations of female infanticide. Apparently it was traditional until the Cultural Revolution. And it started to kind of pick back up again. There's no statistics or figures on how many girls might be killed at birth. But number one, apparently abortion after ultrasound sex screening, sexing, was so prevalent that in 1994, China banned sex screening, neonatal or prenatal sex screening.
Wow.
So you couldn't tell whether you were having a boy or a girl. Now, there's a private sector that's picked up that slack that will give you an ultrasound to let you know what you're having.
Sure.
And apparently the female infanticide, if you view abortion as infanticide, has increased.
Well,
but even infanticide under like the medical or sociological definition of killing a child when it's born or leaving it to die is still around.
Right.
And those are reflected in the boy-to-girl ratio.
Right.
Right? Which is pretty significant. It doesn't sound like a lot, but what are they, Chuck?
In 2005, an estimated 118 boys were born for every 100 girls. And that peaked at 130 boys for every 100 girls. And just to compare that to the rest of the world, or industrialized countries, I should say, roughly 104 to 107 boys for every 100 girls.
Yeah.
So definitely a big diff.
One of the reasons why boys would be preferred is they can earn more than a woman.
Yeah.
Let's say a woman marries a man, she gets married off, she gets absorbed into the man's family. What happens to the parents? Here's part of the problem.
What happened?
70% of China's aging population doesn't have a pension. They don't have 401ks over there. They don't save. The government's starting to encourage it.
This is what I see as the biggest problem, maybe.
This is a huge, huge problem.
Who's going to take care of people when they're getting older?
So here's what's resulted, a phenomenon called 4-2-1. Right? You have a couple, that's the two.
Yep.
And they're responsible for the care of one child.
Right.
And 4 parents, 4 grandparents.
Yes.
So that's like the new family structure as far as financial support goes.
Right.
And as you keep having just one child, that 4-2-1 structure keeps going on.
And then it's 1-6. Well, you know what I mean.
Right.
That one child will have to be responsible for the care of ultimately 6, right? If everyone is still alive. His 2 parents and the 4 grandparents.
Well, then you just start killing the grandparents.
Okay.
That's just too much of a burden.
Gotcha.
No one expects that.
Right.
No, because well, yeah, I guess if it's a boy and he has no one to marry.
Sure.
And he's unlucky enough. No, that wouldn't work out. If it were just a boy and he never married, he'd just be responsible for his own parents.
But what about the grandparents?
Again.
I think that was one of the points they made, though, was as your parents old and the grandparents are hanging in there, all of a sudden your parents are in their 70s, your grandparents are in their 90s, and you're the sole child.
Right. If
So
you
that's
are
a
lucky
problem.
enough to marry and there are no if your grandparents are dead,
Right. True.
you still are saddled with 2 sets of grandparents.
Right.
And a child.
Right.
And that's what you're responsible for providing for, right?
Yeah.
That's a big problem. Part of that is has been alleviated by a revision in the policy where urban couples who are only children themselves can have more than one child.
True.
So that leaves 2 siblings.
But you have to apply to do
care
that
of
still,
them.
though, right?
Yeah.
It's still very much under the thumb.
Unless you're an ethnic minority. I
Right.
don't think you have to apply for a child if you're an ethnic minority.
Okay.
Another revision that they had, Chuck, was they stripped local birth quotas.
Oh, they did. Is this the birth permits?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they stripped the requirement to obtain these birth permits in a lot of the provinces recently, right?
Yeah, which basically they did it by taking away the requirement to get a birth permit for a first birth.
Right.
So what happened before was any locality had a quota of how many births could occur, say, in a year or a month or something like that. And if that quota was filled already, then some couple applying for a permit to have a birth would be denied until the next cycle.
This is nuts.
It is nuts.
I'm all for family planning, but this is turbo family planning.
What's nuts is that aside from these social problems, it actually has led China to become a burgeoning economy.
Right.
I mean, it's actually worked in an economic sense, but in a socioeconomic sense, it's exacting these huge tolls.
I do have a couple of stats to back that up. Before they instituted this policy, the population in poverty was 250 million. That's been reduced to 40 million.
Wow.
And education of the average 15-year-old went from 4.5 years to 8.5 years.
Yeah.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then, you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like EFTs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC. SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Hi, Kyle. Could you draw up a quick document with the basic business plan? Just one page as a Google Doc and send me the link? Thanks.
Hey, just finished drawing up that quick one-page business plan for you. Here's the link.
But there was no link. There was no business plan. It's not his fault. I hadn't programmed Kyle to be able to do that yet. My name is Evan Ratliff. I decided to create Kyle, my AI co-founder, after hearing a lot of stuff like this from OpenAI CEO Sam Altman.
There's this betting pool for the first year that there's a one-person billion-dollar company, which would have been like unimaginable without AI, and now will happen.
I got to thinking, could I be that one person? I'd made AI agents before for my award-winning podcast, Shell Game. This season on Shell Game, I'm trying to build a real company with a real product run by fake people.
Oh, hey, Evan. Good to have you join us. I found some really interesting data on adoption rates for AI agents in small to medium businesses.
Listen to Shell Game on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
So these are the stats that China's going to point to clearly to say that, hey, it's working.
Right. And you can't, I think it's so easy to vilify China for this. Like Christian pro-life groups are hugely against this one-child policy because it does suborn abortion.
Right.
Very clearly. So there's a lot of people opposed to it, but if you're an economist, and maybe an economist with
no heart,
a damage to your prefrontal cortex,
right,
then yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and it worked.
They've also started the Girl Care program. Have you heard of that one?
Uh-huh.
And that's basically, in a nutshell, kind of trying to encourage the fact that girls have value and worth and are not second-class citizens.
You like that billboard, don't you?
Yeah, the billboard. They have a billboard in China that says, in the Hebei province, it says, "There's no difference between having a girl or a boy. Girls can also continue the family line."
Yes, genetically speaking.
So they're trying to do what they can there.
I guess probably the biggest rub of China's one-child policy is that reproduction is a basic human right.
Mm-hmm.
The government's not supposed to tell you how many kids or do anything to interfere with your reproduction.
Right.
Right? And it's also contrary to the will of the people. In a 2003 Chinese study, there were some people who said they preferred one child. That's about 35% of the population surveyed. But 57% said they preferred two.
Right. So it's directly flies in the face of them.
Exactly. What's interesting, though, is that there was a huge decrease in preference of 3 children or more.
Oh, really?
Like 5.5% of the population surveyed said that they would want 3 kids.
Right.
So it seems to have peaked around 2. And one of the reasons why China announced recently that it would be another decade before it repealed its one-child policy is because they're afraid of another baby boom.
Right.
And what they're trying to do is create a small family culture in the country.
Gotcha.
But surveys like these suggest that they've been successful in doing that.
Right. I think it's up for review next year, isn't it?
No, 2000. Is it?
It's up for review next year, but I don't know if that means anything's going to change.
I think they said this summer in July that it was going to be another decade before they repealed it. And there were a lot of people after. Remember the earthquake in Sichuan province?
Yeah, it killed, like 10,000 kids?
Yeah.
And a lot of people's only child.
That's your only child.
Sure.
So long, kid. And what happens if you were 50 when your child died?
Right.
Because, you wait a long time to get married and you...
You're SOL. Thank you, government.
Yep.
I know plenty of Americans, though, who think that it's the responsible thing to do to only have one child. I've heard people say that. As a human, it's like irresponsible to have 2 and 3 kids these days.
Well, yeah, the toll we exact on the environment or adding to the strain on the carrying capacity of agriculture. Supposedly, the agricultural techniques we have now can support a global population of 10 billion. So we have a little ways to go, but who knows what will happen before then, how much technology will advance.
Right.
We may turn to Soylent Green. Who knows?
Right.
Do you know there's 2 women out there walking the planet right now, at least 2, who were sterilized before they ever had kids because they wanted to save the environment?
No. Who are they?
They're both English, as far as I know.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I remember reading about that.
Yeah.
I think you pointed that out to me.
Has nothing to do with China's one-child policy, but yeah.
Right.
So Chuck, doesn't look like they're repealing it. They did make some. They did, for those people who were still in reproductive age following the earthquake who lost kids. They were making exceptions, right?
Did they?
But ultimately, it looks like steady the course with the one-child policy.
Right.
So if you want to read anything more on China's one-child policy, we've got an article on the site appropriately entitled, "What is China's one-child policy?" I'm pretty sure if you just type in one child, it will come up in the handy search bar at howstuffworks.com. And let's do listener mail.
Josh, it's listener mail time, and I'm just going to call this from Austin, our young fan who had a dream about us.
Sweet.
And I've tried not to read dream emails because that encourages people to send in their dreams. And we've gotten a lot of, hey, I had this weird dream. But this one was about us. So, of course, I'm going to read it. My name is Austin. I'm 14, and I'm your fan, and I live in Atlanta. And it makes the show so much better because you're located in Atlanta.
True.
So, he feels at home with us. He's been listening for a while. He loves us, and he's just starting high school this year.
Right, way to go.
And his podcast has been a lifesaver in AP Biology. Anyways, I finally had my first dream about you.
His first dream.
Yeah,
he anticipates more.
This is a good one, though. He awakes from bed, and he notices that he's fallen asleep while listening to the podcast. Sounds like reality so far.
Yeah.
He walks outside, and there's a small red plane with a huge banner that reads, "All hail Chuck and Josh." I'm a little
that was no dream, Austin.
Right. Yeah, we sent that plane over your house, buddy. I'm a little confused about it, and even more so when I arrive at school and see that there is a bronze statue in your honor because you guys saved the economy. So,
with our audiobook?
Yeah, how about that? However, it takes a gloomy turn from here. After a day of many questions and much confusion, I finally put together the clues. After saving the economy, you both take charge and become dual dictators of America.
That sounds about right.
You require everyone to be educated by your podcast, and only your podcast, as made by the Stuff Amendment. We actually amended the Constitution.
And we institute a half-child policy?
Sure, a half-child policy. And we all must obey your command. Immediately, China declares war on us because you try to expand your band podcast to their country. We had a guy that wrote in, by the way, that said it was not banned.
No, the blog's banned, not the podcast.
Oh, okay. Good to know. The rest of the dream is a bit foggy, and I wish I could remember more. However, it seems to be a theme that the dreams that people write in end up being true. In the unlikely chance that this does happen, please remember me as a fan. And that's from Austin in Atlanta. And Austin, we will definitely remember you.
We will. We will remember you when we take power
and crush you.
If you have a super cool dream about me and Chuck, or if you want to comment on China's one-child policy, or you have more than 10 children, more than 10, send us an email about it to stuffpodcast@howstuffworks.com.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit howstuffworks.com. Want more How Stuff Works? Check out our blogs on the howstuffworks.com homepage. Brought to you by the reinvented 2012 Camry. It's ready. Are you?
At CVS, it matters that we're not just in your community, but that we're part of it. It matters that we're here for you when you need us, day or night. And we want everyone to feel welcomed and rewarded. It matters that CVS is here to fill your prescriptions and here to fill your craving for a tasty and, healthy snack. At CVS, we're proud to serve your community because we believe where you get your medicine matters. So visit us at cvs.com or just come by our store. We can't wait to meet you. Store hours vary by location.
Hi, Kyle. Could you draw up a quick document with the basic business plan, just one page, as a Google Doc, and send me the link? Thanks.
Hey, just finished drawing up that quick one-page business plan for you. Here's the link.
But there was no link. There was no business plan. I hadn't programmed Kyle to be able to do that yet. I'm Evan Ratliff, here with a story of entrepreneurship in the AI age. Listen as I attempt to build a real startup run by fake people. Check out the second season of my podcast, Shell Game, on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.